Hi Virgo, welcome to your love reading for February 2020. Let's go ahead and see what is coming up for you. This is the love reading for the sign of Virgo for February 2020. You've got the Seven of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for February 2020. Page of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for February 2020. Five of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for the month of February. Ace of Swords. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for February. Two of Cups. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for February. Ten of Swords. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for the month of February. King of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for February. Judgment. Love reading for the sign of Virgo for February. And you've got the Knight of Wands here. Since this card is kind of sticking out here, I feel like I should pull it and see what it is for you. And we've got the Lovers. So I'm going to put this right next to the Knight of Wands, and let's see what the most important thing you need to hear is. What does Virgo most need to hear about their love life for the month of February 2020? You've got the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands does represent waiting. Perhaps you're waiting for a communication. You do have the Page of Wands here, which usually it does always represent good news, excitement. Some of you maybe are waiting for communication. You could even be waiting for someone to make a decision about you, or maybe even to come back to you, because you do have the Ten of Swords here, which is being unable to move on. So I'll come back to this card in a minute and see how it ties in with the rest of the reading. Let's go ahead and start at the top. And if you'd like a private reading with me, just go to my website, channeledguidance.com, and I'll put a link down below. Okay, so you have the Seven of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Five of Wands here. So, I mean, I do see perhaps, conflict with the person that you love here. The Five of Wands does either represent a lot of fighting, a lot of egos clashing, or someone who is highly conflicted. Because you're starting with the Seven of Wands, and the Seven of Wands usually does represent something that is unfair to you. This usually means that someone is walking all over you. You're being treated very unfairly, and you do need to speak up for yourself. You need to stand your ground. Some of you could be dealing with, a lot of conflict in a relationship or in a marriage, where maybe your partner is taking advantage of you, and there is something that you need to do here. You're really need to speak up, to set boundaries. I feel like if you do this, because you've got the Seven of Wands here and the Five of Wands here, which this is the fighting, the disagreements, perhaps, you're conflicted maybe about the relationship. If you confront this, you do have the Page of Wands, which does represent change, excitement. Your relationship can continue, but I feel like there's something going on for the sign of Virgo that is unfair, where there is something that you need to do. Now, if you look at the next row here, you've got the Ace of Swords, the Two of Cups, and the Ten of Swords. So, I mean, you do have a very special connection with someone here. You have the Two of Cups, which is a soulmate connection, a strong emotional bond. Since you have this with the Ten of Swords right next to it, because to me the Ten of Swords, this is someone who has not been able to move on. So some of you, this is perhaps about an ex. And since, again, Two of Cups, I always have to consider not just that the Two of Cups is here, what is around it. We've got the Ace of Swords, the Ten of Swords, and the Five of Wands. Some of you may still be connected to a soulmate that is no longer in your life. Again, with the Ten of Swords, you've not been able to move on. You're still really hurt. Some of you may feel betrayed by this person who you thought was your soulmate. This could be maybe what you're conflicted about. Maybe you're conflicted about taking this person back with the Five of Wands. This also means perhaps that you're just very different people. And I feel like if you do something to confront this, because some of you, maybe you're still, again, highly connected to this ex from the Two of Cups, someone who maybe betrayed you, hurt you, you've not been able to move on. There is something you need to confront here. I feel like the sign of Virgo is not meant to run, because there can be change. You have the Page of Wands here. You also have the Ace of Swords, which means that there has to be a change of perspective. There has to be clarity. I feel like for the sign of Virgo, like there's something going on in a relationship where, there's either a lot of fighting and disagreements, or someone is very conflicted about coming back to you. If you're waiting for an ex to come back, because that's kind of the reading, the feeling that I'm getting from this whole reading. If you're kind of, not being able to move on from a soulmate, it could be that you won't see this change from the Page of Wands until this person really faces the truth. Because again, that would be the Seven of Wands. Maybe they have something to confront, their own ego, their own issues. And the Ace of Swords is clarity and truth and looking at things from a different perspective, because I still see a connection here. But I also see that, you know, someone has not been able to move on. So I feel like this is kind of an ex situation, although some of you may still be with this person, but you're deeply, deeply hurt, and maybe you're not able to move on from something that happened in the relationship or the marriage. Now down here, and I'll hold them up for you if you can't see them, we've got the King of Wands, which would be a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, male or female, sun, moon, or rising. This could even be you if you have a moon or rising and a fire sign. And we also have Judgment. So Judgment does show that there can still be a new beginning for you. This usually represents a relationship that you thought was dead, it was over, it comes back to life. So again, this ties in with the Ten of Swords. You've not been able to move on. Someone has not been able to move on from a very painful situation or betrayal. Still, love is there. That soulmate connection is still there. And, you know, this is lined up with Judgment. There can still be a second chance. There can still be a new beginning. You also have the Knight of Wands. And I feel like if the person that you love has no fire in their chart and you don't either, then the Knight of Wands and the King of Wands, they represent taking the lead, doing something. Again, you're starting with the Seven of Wands, which is, you know, kind of facing the music, making a decision, fighting for what you want. And in a love reading, I would say the Knight of Wands, this is someone who is ready to pursue. So some of you, again, you could have been waiting. This was the main energy for you. You could have been, you know, maybe you're waiting for someone to reach out to you. You're waiting for someone to, you know, to want you back. There could be some action here with the King of Wands and the Knight of Wands. This Knight of Wands is pursuing you, but this person would have to take the lead and kind of knowing what they want. But I do see a new beginning here. Now this card, the Lovers, was kind of sticking out from the deck. As you saw, I pulled it just to see what it was, and this is what we got. This can represent the sign of Gemini, but the Lovers is just, to me, this is a very significant relationship, a relationship that you want very much. Perhaps a relationship you've not been able to let go of. Even maybe if you wanted very different things, if there was a lot of conflict around the relationship. I feel like if there is clarity here, the Ace of Swords, if there is clarity, there can be a new beginning with Judgment. Again, you are waiting. I see the sign of Virgo waiting here. Okay, let's get a few more. Let's see what else comes up for you. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo for February 2020? You've got Knight of Swords. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo for February? Five of Swords. Messages for the sign of Virgo for February. And the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so let's look at these three. So I mean, the first thing that really catches my eye here is that you have the Five of Swords, which it can represent sabotage. Perhaps someone has been messing with your relationship. Now you have the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords. So I do see some type of obstacle around you. Since this is a general reading, you'll have to think, what is this obstacle that is around me? Is it another person? Is it another party? Because we do have the King of Wands here, which is not you. But if this is not your energy or the person that you love, there can be perhaps someone who is kind of interfering in the relationship. Because the Five of Swords does represent sabotage. Or it can also be self-sabotage. Someone who's making very bad decisions. And this could be maybe what has, you know, created conflict in your relationship or in your marriage. But you do have the Knight of Swords, which means that things can change very quickly. It could be that maybe someone messed up with the Five of Swords. Someone made all the wrong decisions and broke your heart. But we have the Knight of Swords, which is like the Tower. Everything can change very, very quickly, very unexpectedly. And you do have the Six of Pentacles, which is you receiving what you want from this person. Everybody getting what they deserve. But I do feel like there's something here with this Five of Swords. Perhaps this is, you know, interference from another person, meddling in the relationship, or it can just be, I feel like for most of you, it's just that the person that you love is here, where they just, you know, they need clarity. Perhaps they don't know what they want. Perhaps, you know, they have made some very unwise decisions when it comes to your relationship or your marriage. They're highly conflicted. But you do have, you know, Judgment here saying that there can be a second chance for this relationship. Let's get a few cards from the confirmation deck. Let's see what else comes up for you. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo for February 2020? Interesting. Ace of Swords again. There's one here and one here. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo for February? Eight of Swords. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo for February? The Emperor. What's the most important thing that Virgo needs to hear about their love life for February 2020? The Chariot. So the Chariot can represent the sign of Cancer, but this is a lot of big changes, a lot of movement in your love life that is here. It wants to happen for you. However, I mean, you do have the Eight of Swords, which, I mean, this represents someone who is mentally stuck. So this is what I was telling you on this side of the reading. That's what I saw. Someone is like trying to make a decision. Someone needs clarity. And ironically, you have the Ace of Swords 2 times. So I feel like this is, you know, the biggest message I can give the sign of Virgo for February is someone needs clarity as far as maybe how they really feel about you, or do they want to continue your marriage or your relationship. This is, you know, a sense of clarity and really maybe even looking at things from a different perspective. Maybe not focusing on your differences and what you want. Because again, you have the Five of Wands, which means that perhaps you're very different people. Perhaps you want different things and different timing. And someone is just stuck here. I mean, they're just stuck with the Eight of Swords. They're in a mental prison. And, I mean, you're dealing with someone that doesn't really know how to move forward. Someone who is just kind of stuck mentally. We do have the Emperor right after the Eight of Swords. So this means, you know, take back your power. Stay in control. So I feel like those of you, you know, where you're not seeing any type of change, positive change in the relationship, is because you're waiting for someone to take back their power, be in control, clarity. Ace of Swords 2 times. Somebody needs to see the truth about how they really feel about you. Just kind of looking this over before I move on to the X spread. I mean, right in the center of the reading, there is a strong kind of emotional connection between you and another person. That soulmate connection is still here. But something about the way that this person is thinking has to change. The Ace of Swords 2 times. They need clarity. They could be feeling very conflicted about you. I feel like something is not fair with the Seven of Wands. You really need to set boundaries. Some of you, you know, you've not been able to move on from the soulmate. You're feeling deeply hurt, betrayed. There is, you know, some type of very unwise decision here, a bad decision maybe that has blown up in someone's face. But I do see, you know, things changing around this with the Knight of Swords. Everything will change very unexpectedly. And I do see you, you know, getting what you deserve here with the Six of Pentacles. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the X spread. Virgo, let's go ahead and see what's going on between you and your ex for the month of February. Virgo and their ex for February 2020. You've got Three of Pentacles, Virgo and their ex for the month of February. The Lovers, which you also had in the first spread, Virgo and their ex for February. Four of Cups, Virgo and their ex for the month of February. Five of Swords, also in the first spread, Virgo and their ex for the month of February. Four of Wands, Virgo and their ex for the month of February. The High Priestess, Virgo and their ex for the month of February. Four of Pentacles, Virgo and their ex for the month of February. Two of Swords, and the Hierophant. I mean, I feel like when it comes to an ex, this is a tough one. I mean, I won't lie to you, this is a tough one. I feel like you're dealing with something you know, very complicated. You have the Two of Swords here, which means that, I mean, this is stuck energy, and you did have the Eight of Swords in the first spread. But, I mean, you also have, I mean, you have the Five of Swords here, and this is, I mean, this is a very kind of challenging card. To me, the Five of Swords is like the devil. And, you know, this is a repeat card from the first spread, which means that there is, you know, some type of sabotage around your relationship. Here you go. This is the same card from the first spread that I did for you. So I feel like there is some type of, like, either a decision, a very bad decision that is, perhaps maybe this is what broke you up or what's keeping you apart. I mean, this is just sabotage, it's negative energy. Let's go ahead and start at the top. You have the Three of Pentacles, the Lovers, and the Four of Cups. So the Lovers can represent the sign of Gemini. You also had this card in the first spread. But again, I mean, this is repeating what I told you in the first spread. That connection with your ex is still there. I mean, this is a strong connection. You had the Lovers, and you also had the Two of Cups in the first spread. That connection is still there. There's just a lot of work to do. You have the Three of Pentacles. There's a lot of work to do, and I feel like one side is not really interested in doing that right now. We've got the Four of Cups. Again, I feel like there's something really, really complicated going on for the sign of Virgo when it comes to your ex. The Four of Cups, to me, this does represent someone that doesn't care. And I feel like, it's not that they don't care, but I feel like they don't care right now. Because this is someone who's depressed, someone who's really unhappy, and someone who just feels empty. I mean, not to be dramatic, but that's what this card represents, a sense of emptiness. Like, I don't really care about anything anymore. This card really just comes off as that connection that you have with this person that you think was there. It really is still there. It's just this person is in a very kind of empty place. Like they feel they have nothing left to give, and there is a lot of time and effort that has to be invested to bring this back. Now if you look at the next row, 5 of Swords, 4 of Wands, and the High Priestess. So, I mean, you do have this theme. I don't know if you can see everything. I'll hold them up for you. 4 of Cups there, 4 of Wands here, all leading to the 4 of Pentacles. So all these 4s, they do represent, to me, the 4s represent stability and a firm foundation. So I feel like, you know, things are just very unstable with your ex right now. It could be that they're unstable. For some of you, maybe your relationship didn't have that firm foundation to where this person has kind of hit a very emotional glitch where they can't really kind of give you what you want right now. Again, I feel like this is just for now. You're being told here, trust your intuition. And I feel like this is about, you know, what you truly had with this person. Will they return? Because I still see, again, we have the Lovers here. And then we have the 4 of Wands, which is, this is a, you know, a commitment. It can be a card of marriage. This is a relationship that is on a firm foundation. The relationship that will survive. And you're being told here, trust your intuition. Do you think that, you know, this relationship will survive, you know, perhaps, you know, your breakup, whatever it is that broke you up? Do you think it will survive? Your intuition is really telling you the truth. Again, this card is following you from the first spread. So, since it's a general reading, you have to think, how does this apply to me? Did this person make a huge mistake? Because this is a card of bad mistakes that blow up in your face. You know, did you do something? Because this can be a card of self-sabotage or sabotage from another person. It's just, you know, negative energy. And with the 4 of Cups, it could be, you know, perhaps that this person is just in a very kind of emotional place where they just don't really care right now. Like they can't focus on love. That's one thing that I'm getting. Now down here, I'll hold them up for you. You've got the 4 of Pentacles, which means that someone is holding back. Someone's being really stubborn because there's something really complicated here. You know, and with the 2 of Swords, it can be maybe this, for some of you, not for everyone, there could be maybe that there is perhaps another person involved. Perhaps this person is married. This has come up for some of the other signs I've uploaded. This is just a, you know, someone who's torn. A very tricky, complicated decision. This is something that, a decision that is impossible to make. I feel like this is what's kind of keeping your ex at a distance. They're holding back from you because of that. They've got a really tough decision they really can't make. I also feel like they're just highly unhappy. They've, you know, a sense of emptiness, of being unfulfilled. But you do have the Hierophant here. This can represent the sign of Taurus, but it also represents kindred spirits and soulmates and really knowing where you belong. I mean, throw this in with the Lovers and the 4 of Wands. I feel like, you know, that connection is still there. The main energy from the first spread, it's actually right here, is waiting. All you're doing is you're waiting for this person to be themselves again, to be ready to make a decision. The Ace of Swords was a repeat card for you in the first spread. This person needs clarity. I feel like this person is very unhappy, very unhappy, and possibly maybe they're, you know, dwelling on a mistake that they made. They've got a tough decision to make here. They're refusing to make it, and that's what's, you know, keeping this person at a distance. That's why they're holding back from you. Tough stuff here. Let me go ahead and get 3 more cards. Let's see what else comes up for you. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo about their ex for February 2020? Page of Swords. Other messages for the sign of Virgo about their ex. The 6 of Swords. And the Knight of Cups. So in the Knight of Cups, this is your relationship continuing to move forward. The 6 of Swords also represents your relationship continuing to move forward in a much healthier place. This is not like going back and same issues, same drama. This is being in a much healthier place in your relationship. Again, throw this in with the Knight of Cups, which is movement and your relationship growing. It's just that there has to be honesty first. We have the Page of Swords. And this can be, for some of you, perhaps your ex eventually, you know, being ready to open up about what's really happening, why they really left. The Page of Swords is a very honest conversation. Once this conversation happens, once, you know, they let everything out, there's finally movement here with the 6 of Swords and the Knight of Cups. Okay, let's get a few more from the confirmation deck. What other messages are there for the sign of Virgo about their ex for February 2020? You've got the Sun. The Knight of Cups is a repeat card. And Temperance. Yeah, you're being told here to be patient because Temperance, I mean, it does represent the sign of Sagittarius, but it also means that this is something where you can't really push. So I feel like kind of giving your ex an ultimatum, like either we're going to get back in the next 30 days or I'm blocking you or don't ever call me again. You probably don't want to do that because I don't think it's going to change anything. Temperance is telling you don't do anything extreme. just let everything happen naturally. I mean, you do have the Knight of Cups 2 times here, which means that, there will be movement. The Knight of Cups is, a positive change, positive movement in your relationship. Perhaps this can represent your ex wanting, to sweep you off your feet, because this did come out with the Sun. And this is the most positive card out of all 78 cards. This is success, positive energy. It can also represent marriage. This is just everything that you want, happiness, success. But again, their very first card, there is like so much work to do here. And I just feel like one person is kind of more invested than the other. And one person is just very unhappy. That's just what I'm getting here with this 4 of Cups. This is someone not caring anymore. Combination of 4 of Cups and 5 of Swords. Ouch. I mean, that really is tricky, because when you have someone who's very depressed, doesn't really care about anything, and then there's been sabotage and negative energy and bad decisions. Throw this in with the 2 of Swords. I mean, this is something really tough that you're dealing with. Also, they're refusing to do anything. They're refusing to face the music. And I feel like this also goes back to that first card I pulled for you in the first spread, the 7 of Wands. There is something that perhaps this person needs to confront so they can find their way back to you. Okay, so after all that, let me get you one card from this Love Oracle, and let's see what comes out for you. What message is there for the sign of Virgo about the person that they love for February 2020? What message is there for the sign of Virgo about the person that they love for February? Wow, we got past love here. And when I look at this card, I just see a heart breaking here. I feel like there's, like, someone is saying it hurts. And it can be, I feel like for most of you, like, this person is very kind of emotionally disconnected and hurting. And they, they don't care. But at the same time, they don't care, but they are hurting. I feel like they are thinking of you. I mean, this is a card, past love, and I'm doing the X spread. So I feel like you're hurting, but I feel like what you don't know is that they're hurting as well. Just remember that you do have the Sun here, and this is always a yes, that there will be a positive outcome. The Knight of Cups is here 2 times, telling you that there will be movement. But remember, also in the first spread, the Ace of Swords was the repeat card. There has to be clarity. I feel like this person is highly confused, depressed, stuck, and it's just a matter of timing, which is why you're being told, don't give any ultimatums, don't do anything extreme, don't push, just let this happen naturally. Okay, Virgo, this has been your love reading for February 2020. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you again next month.